Good morning, Don Pelayo here. It's Friday, April 4th. I'm about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just getting up and getting at it. Yesterday was a pretty hectic day with, of course, everybody knows about the tariffs now, the tariff situation here in the United States. And some people are upset about it. Some people are fearful. Some people are scared. Um, some people may not understand why we're changing our policies. Trump's changing these policies. And um those of us that are a little bit older, over the age of 40, I think will know. Most of us will understand, I think, at least the rationale for what's happening. um Truth is, over the course of about the last 50 years, we've seen a gradual erosion. Well, I would say it started kind of gradually, but then when a few key events happened, it really accelerated the erosion of America's middle class. Our middle class has just been hollowed out in the United States, and some of these our trade policies have a lot to do with that. I remember after China joined the World Trade Organization, and especially after NAFTA was passed, um, you just begin to see a flight. All of the factories here in the United States closing up shop and moving elsewhere. I think they said that we had lost something in the neighborhood of maybe 80 or 90,000 factories were closed and moved overseas. Um, Millions of workers were displaced, from fairly good paying jobs at the time. Um, and that's just hollowed out America's middle class. We've become a very much a service based economy. I mean, there's only a few major industries, where we really make things anymore here in the United States. I think about aircraft like Boeing and things that, we make some of those things here, but it's just, for the most part, we're making, you know, a lot of the things that we make, we're getting the parts from elsewhere and then just putting it together here, and we're not really making things here anymore. Where we've become just so much of a service-based economy. Trump wants to turn that around, and in order to turn that around, you have to put in place some barriers, some encouragement for companies to make things here. And that's what he's trying to do. Trump is trying to bring some of these lost manufacturing jobs back to the United States. I don't think he's going to be able to bring back all of it. There were some industries, in particular, there were industries here where I live in North Carolina. For example, the textile industry. When I was growing up, there were, especially a lot of these small towns in the area, had textile factories, made clothing, and all of that's gone. It all left back in the late '80s and early '90s and went overseas, and really has destroyed many of the small town communities in my area, North Carolina. My dad grew up in Mount Airy, just about an hour north of here, and it was a textile town. They had uh, a, a factory up there that produced, socks and garments and things, and and people had worked there for generations. Generations of people had worked there, and all of that's gone. And now the town, it's like it's just sad when something like that happens, because none of the young people that grew up there, none of them stay there. They leave and go elsewhere, and these towns just die. And now it's just kind of a den for drug addicts and things like that. I mean, there's some normal community up there too, but it's not the same. It's just not the same as it was. Um, So Trump's trying to turn some of this around, and in order to do that, there's going to be some short-term pain in order to do that. The market it did not react positively yesterday. It was down a lot. I haven't sold anything. I held all of my positions. I will say that when I went to look at my portfolio yesterday at the end of yesterday, my index funds were all down pretty substantially, but I have several individual stock positions that actually held up pretty well yesterday. These were primarily I had been positioning my portfolio a bit defensively uh, over the last few maybe about 3 or 4 months, even before Trump took office. I had been positioning myself because I think everybody, all of us, kind of realize that they're going to sit there and say, "Oh, this is all Trump's fault." I think people, if you look back even a year ago, companies have been doing okay, but the average American's been hurting for a while now. And to be honest, I really think, yes, maybe not, we haven't been in the traditional definition of a recession, but I think people have felt like we were living in a recessionary economy because the growth that companies are getting, it's not getting down to the people. It's not getting down to the average citizen. So it may not be technically in a recession, but for the people it feels like a recession. So that's kind of where we've been. And I think we've been in there for a while. This is nothing new. Um, Now we're seeing some extreme volatility right now because Trump is changing the system. He is going to go really. He's really trying to go back and unwind some of what's happened over the last at least 30, if not 50 years. Um, I feel actually pretty calm about it. I'm not really that nervous about it. I feel like this is something that needed to happen. I think I've felt like that for a while, that something needed to change, and he's trying to change it. Um, I understand there's going to be some upheaval, and I'm okay with that because we couldn't keep going the way we were going. The system we had before um, was unsustainable. We've reached $37 trillion in debt, and it didn't look like that was going to be correcting itself anytime soon. I think that this will help in that effort. Maybe not short term, but long term, yes. Um, I would really like to see America get back some of its heavy industry, where we're making, the bulk of our cars, the bulk of our machinery here in the United States. Um, I'd also like to see us get pharmaceuticals back here in the United States. We should be making, I mean, it's crazy that China and India, we're dependent on China and India right now for our medications. How comfortable is that, right? That's insane. I mean, we just we can't do that. So that I would like to see pharmaceuticals move back to the United States. I don't expect the bulk of textiles to move back here to the United States. There may be some of that, some higher end textile goods, but the bulk of it, is probably going to remain overseas. Um, oh boy, it's early. I But as for making um the big stuff, our machinery, cars, I also we've got to we've got to start making chips, which is going to be an ordeal because it's not easy to set that up. Right now we're getting all of our computer chips. Well, not all, but the majority of our computer chips come from Taiwan. And you know about Taiwan's situation. If China were to go in there and invade and take it over, we're going to have some problems. We're going to have some significant problems getting computer chips. We need to start making them here. Um, so I'd like to see more of that production happening here in the United States. Um, we need power. And I think that it's becoming more and more urgent for us to begin developing nuclear sources of power. Um, you know, they don't like the coal powered plants, which I mean I understand. Nobody wants to live in a polluted area. I get that. Solar and wind are just not capable of producing enough the quantity of power that we need. Hydroelectric, I mean, they can all be a percentage. I don't have a problem with solar and wind and hydroelectric power being a portion of what we're generating, but it's not going to create enough. So we need nuclear power, more nuclear power plants. I'd like to see more of that being developed throughout the United States. Um, so all of that's going to be critical, which means we're going to need workers. Um, you know, it's I think as these things develop, I, they say that we need immigrant labor. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think we do need some immigrant labor. I don't. I think it's overstated that what we need because we've got a lot of people. We've got a lot of, especially young men, um, in both the urban and rural parts of this country that are being underutilized. They're not. They need training on how to do things. They need training. They need the skills on how to do it. But if you build this back here in the United States, if companies are paying good wages, you're going to see, you will see that's going to change. Um, you'll see these people, take that opportunity. I think right now, I think a lot of people are demoralized because they feel like there isn't any opportunity because all of these industries have left. There's just very little here left. Unless you're, going to school to be a doctor or an attorney. I mean, even attorneys these days don't really make that. If it's getting established as an attorney that's difficult. It's like you go get a law degree. A law degree used to really mean something here in the United States, but now it's like it just means that you have a high student loan bill and you're unemployed. It's like just trying to find a role. But I don't know. I think that I think what's happening is in the long term benefit of our country. It's just going to take some time to see this unfold, and Americans are not patient. It's like they want immediate gratification. They want to see their stock portfolios just continually go up. They don't ever want to see a decline. it's It doesn't work like that. Markets, even in normal times, the market doesn't work like that. Um, but especially in a time where we need to make structural changes to the way our economy is working, it's going to create a ripple. There's going to be some turbulence. So I would tell everyone, and a lot of it depends on where you are, in terms of you know, if you're in retirement and you're depending upon your investment portfolio to sustain you in retirement, you probably should have already been rather conservative in that portfolio. But you may need to look for times to begin to strategize your withdrawals, because you don't want to be withdrawing out of your portfolio right at the bottom. Um, but younger people, I wouldn't. I'm 48 and I'm not worried about it. I actually feel very calm about it. So we'll see what happens. I would just tell everyone just to hang in there. I do think that these tariffs are being put in place to try to achieve better parity in trade among trading partners. there's probably going to be some deals being made over the next few months. You're going to see Trump, making deals with other countries. With the biggest thing is um, our local trade partners, China and Mexico. Um, Trump was pretty good to them in terms of some of the tariffs that he put on, with our trade partners. I think he didn't hit them as hard as people were expecting with like the cars and everything. Um, Europe, I don't know how much we really get from Europe other than wine. I'm not, there may be a few other things. I know we do, our airlines do probably buy some Airbus planes, things like that. But um, yeah, I don't know how much we really get from Europe. Most of what we buy is from Asia. It's like when I think about most of our foreign goods here. Of course, cars we do get BMWs, Mercedes here, some European car brands, and then the Airbus, and then Japan, China. And the problem with China, I just don't trust the Chinese. I never have. I have always thought it was a bad idea, us taking all these jobs, all these factories over to China. I've never liked that idea. Um, when we first went to China, it was a third world country. It was very, agrarian still. And look at it now. And they are very long-term focused. They have a communist government, which I don't know why we thought it was a brilliant idea to strengthen a communist regime, but it's like I think that probably should have been part of the deal. Is that if they wanted to open up their country to trading, that government needed to be opened up a little bit, made more democratic. But anyway, it is what it is. So I just don't like the we've basically built our rival. I don't want to call them an enemy, but our rival. We have a rival in China, and China's got its own problems. It's not, people think, oh well, China is the way of the future and all. It's like, no, maybe not necessarily. China's got a lot of deep, significant problems as well. Their population is shrinking. Um, it's expected to continue to shrink. Although it's still going to be bigger than the United States. I think right now they're approximately like around 1 billion, and in India has surpassed it as the most populous country. Um, but I saw by 2100, by the year 2100, China's population would be down to around 600 million. And the United States population is going to be more like four to 450 million. So we're not going to be that far in population wise from China in 80 years, 75 years. So we'll see what happens. We just need to get our industry going. America needs its mojo back. We need to build up the middle class back here in the United States, and Trump is working on that. And that's the whole purpose of these tariffs. That's the whole purpose of what he's doing right now. And I know it scares some people. It makes people nervous. It makes some people angry. Um, but he feels, and I've felt for some time that this is something that needed to happen. Um, some people were comfortable with the system as it was. But the way these deficits were going and our debt was going, we're gonna reach 50 trillion in debt. It won't be that much longer. That's unsustainable. We're getting to a point where the interest on the debt that we're building up is going to be taking a larger and larger and larger portion of our income, of our revenue, and eventually it's going to get to a point where we're going to have to throw everything we can at just paying interest, and that you get to that point, it's gonna. I mean, we're gonna go bankrupt. The country's gonna go bankrupt, and then that's just unraveling of our nation. So hang in there. I don't expect. I know Trump is trying to do all of this as fast as he can. He's kind of ripping a band-aid right now. Um, but then some healing can begin, and I think we'll start seeing some real improvements and things. So let's see how it goes, and you guys stay you know just keep building your assets. Continue to accumulate assets. I don't think it's and those assets can be in any category. I think that building assets is kind of the key to building wealth. So holding a bunch of cash is probably not the best idea. If you do have cash to deploy, I might have you look at, you might want to look at silver. Silver took a big hit yesterday. It was down like 6, 7, 8% yesterday. Might not be a bad entry point to buy into silver. Silver and gold, of course, precious metals can be, if you're not comfortable with the stock market right now, that can be a pretty good place to be. There are commodities, a lot of the commodities might be a good place to be. There are index funds out there that track the price of commodities. I work in the investment industry. I'm not giving any financial advice, but and I'm not going to tell you specifically what to invest in, but I will tell you what I'm doing. My portfolio right now I have about 15% in gold, and it's been there for a while at that percentage. I do have some index funds, but most of my index funds I have dividend paying index funds that are tracking companies that are, blue chip stocks, blue chip companies. I do have some individual stocks as well. They're all dividend payers. I don't have any individual growth stocks at all. I do have some index funds that track growth stocks. But I think I only have about 10 to 12% of my portfolio right now in growth oriented stocks. I do expect that to change. My plan the plan that I've got is to transition some of my dividend paying stocks gradually over back into the growth sector. But it's going to be a little while before I do that. Um, I'll have to feel like we're stable before I start. That we're not. That these turbulence have mostly passed before I'll start doing that. In the time being, I'm going to be staying with the blue chip stocks. So I also have a REIT, real estate investment trust, in there as well. It is now there's lots of different types of REITs. The REIT that I currently have it invests in medical properties, so like hospitals and clinics and things like that. Um, so I think there's opportunities. There's always opportunities, no matter what. So just be looking for some key opportunities, but building your assets. I think that's real important right now. Um, as we kind of go through this period of a little bit of upheaval. Anyway, everybody have a great day. I'm going to get ready, start getting myself prepared for work, and get ready for the weekend. Have a good one.